Messing up is inevitable if you do anything enough times, but if you are prepared for that and you set your expectations accordingly, then your mindset will make it a positive experience. Hey guys, this is Just Dowd, and I would like to welcome you to the Girl Do It Yourself podcast. I'm passionate about all things creative, from DIY and home design to motherhood and self-love. I'm a mom of 3 boys, a small business owner, and a creative. And after overcoming some struggles, I ventured into DIY, power tools, and design projects in the place of therapy, basically. And I'm here to encourage and inspire other women to pick up the tools, do the hard things, and figure this crazy life out as best we can along the way. So join me for relatable stories, inspiration, and a dash of humor on design, DIY, motherhood, growth, mindset, and more. Buckle up, because my ADHD is about to take us on a wild ride. Hey guys, you're listening to the Girl Do It Yourself podcast, episode 2. For my second episode, I want to talk a little bit about burnout and overwhelm as a mom and business owner, and also about my favorite project I've done so far, while also touching on a few others that hit the top of the list because it's really, really hard to pick just one. So if you're here after listening to the first episode, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am so glad you didn't think that first one was completely horrible and you decided to give me another shot. I truly can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So now it's time to get a little heavy. I hope that's okay. Not depressing though, just talking about the real stuff in life, but ending on a positive note, and then there'll be some fun stuff at the end. Okay, so no matter if you're a mom with screaming littles, you're hitting a wall in your career, or having a hard time with a family member, or all of the above, whatever it might be, we have all probably been through a time of emotional overwhelm, and maybe even burnout, where you might just lose all passion for things you used to enjoy, or you just can't seem to handle even small issues anymore. I can tell you, on the days where I almost start to cry and or almost lose my shit over literally spilled milk are the days I know I'm getting way too close to overwhelm. But this recent burnout I've been going through has been a whole different experience, and it hits in a whole different way. Like, don't even want to look at or think about some of the things I know I have to do because they throw me into such a funk. I would kind of rather just lay in bed and not deal with anything that makes me anxious or uncomfortable. But alas, I have 3 very boisterous boys, ages 2, 4, and 6, and they keep me on my toes. And while exhausting, at the same time, I am so grateful for that. Okay, now let me give a quick little backstory. So in case you don't know, I have a product-based business called Modern Lifestyle Gifts, and I have created a whole line of gifts and drinkware with designs focused around uplifting and inspiring women. And however, in the process, I've become exhausted and completely overwhelmed, and well, not meeting the success expectations I was hoping to. In my mind, and well, when it comes down to it, my bank account, I am failing, and that is starting a domino effect, which independently would be something I would be able to work through. But when this gets added to personal issues and my overwhelm as a stay-at-home mom to 3 screaming and fighting boys, well, it's all just kind of coming to a head. And the worst part is my kids seem to be paying for this overwhelm the most, because I just can't show up for them the way I want to. And I get short with them. And even though they shouldn't be jumping off the couch onto their little brothers, it doesn't exactly warrant full-blown psycho mom. So even though we are in the thick of Q4 holiday shopping, I have barely been able to put together enough energy to make sales, and the ones I do drain me even further. I have launched a few products recently that came out to complete crickets. And so much of this has just been heartbreaking for me, because my dreams for this business were huge. And it also played a very large role in helping pull me out of my darkest postpartum depression after I had my 3rd son, alongside learning how to use power tools and do the DIY projects myself.
but it is starting to feel like this isn't the path I should be going down anymore. And like I need to reassess my priorities and take a step back and listen to myself. And that is what this podcast has actually been helping me with, and hopefully in turn can maybe help you with some of this as well. And lately, I have been trying to prioritize my mental and my physical health. To be honest, I don't really know what that looks like. I'm trying to pivot in my business and in my goals that are long-term and sustainable while allowing me to give more time to my kids without losing myself again in the process. And while I know it is not going to be easy, I can tell you it's probably going to be one of the most important changes to date. So, if you can relate to any of this, then I know it's not easy. I know you're trying your hardest right now, even though it never seems to be good enough. But what I also know is things will get better. We will get through this. We might feel a little lost right now, but I just know that eventually the fog will clear, the branches will part, and the next door will open. Wow, I am not a crier. I am not an openly emotional person. But lately, I feel like I have been on the verge of tears all the time. And it is a totally new experience for me. But I think it's leading me to the next beautiful thing. It's my sign, but I'm listening to myself and I'm open to what's going to happen, what's going to come next. So I'm going to take a few more steps back and explain how I never in a million years ever expected to become a stay-at-home mom. But when I was pregnant with my first son, my husband had an opportunity come up in his career that brought us across the country from Vermont to Arizona. And while I am so grateful, and I know how lucky I am, and I wouldn't change it for the world, it has been the single hardest transition in my life so far. I will always be so glad that I was there for every single first, the slow mornings, and yes, even the poopy diapers. To be honest, I expected to be a career woman, possibly in the intel world, which is what I did in the Air Force, working for one of the 3-letter agencies like the FBI. That was what made more sense to me. But I have learned more about myself in the last 6 years than the rest of my 28 years on Earth. One of the other major catalysts for this life learning was my ADHD diagnosis, which has opened my eyes to so much. And I have been learning alongside my firstborn as we sort of navigate it together, because even at 6 years old, I can see so many things in him that I can relate to. But his is manifesting very differently. And while I was always an A++ student, he is actually on the way to failing first grade, which has been a struggle as well as an eye-opener for me and a catalyst in this current phase of overwhelm and burnout for sure. So what I think I'm trying to say is change can be hard, like really, really hard. But I also know we can get through it because at the same time, change is inevitable. Just like nature, I believe our lives have seasons. And as one starts to come to a close, another begins. And the new beauty in that new season will make the struggle through the transition worth it. So before I move on to some of my favorite projects, I just wanted to end with some encouragement and inspiration. If you related to anything I just spoke about and feel in your heart like maybe whatever it is you're doing right now is not aligned or you feel lost, I want you to take a moment and think on what it might be that is making you feel that way, and then actively work on finding a solution to it. Now, I know that can seriously be so much easier said than done, especially when you have financial responsibilities, prior commitments, people who rely on you, and any other number of things. But if right now you can start doing just one thing that brings you joy or makes you feel better, then that is your very first step in working towards realignment. For me, that was choosing to put a pause on my business, Modern Lifestyle Gifts, after the holiday buying time. And that will be for the foreseeable future, so I can take some time to reassess, enjoy the holidays with my family, and hopefully be able to find clarity through the overwhelm. This was an easy decision. It breaks my heart, honestly, but it's the right one for me to make today.
Have you been looking for a new solution to help you meet your nutritional goals? Well, AG1 is a comprehensive nutrition and gut health in one simple scoop. So I started using AG1 about 3 months ago because my physical health is something I have been wanting to get back under control since having kids. I could feel how drained I was, and knowing with 1 scoop of powder in 8 ounces of water every morning, I'd be able to fill most of the nutritional gaps I was missing, I was sold. So a couple of other things AG1 can help is promoting gut health with pre and probiotics, supporting immune health with vitamin C, zinc, and functional mushrooms, boost energy, which I have seen because I haven't needed an afternoon pick-me-up as often, and when the original reason it was created, which was to help with post-workout recovery. Now I will say it definitely does not taste like a cool glass of sweet tea because it is still a green drink. However, it is truly not bad. And the results and the benefits are just so worth it. So with the link in my show notes, you can check out their website, and if you order a monthly subscription, which comes with 30 servings in a single pouch and a free starter kit, which is a premium jar and a shaker bottle, you can also get a free vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.
Okay. Let's get into the fun stuff now. My favorite project to date. So that is a really tough one because there are so many that were my favorite for different reasons and at different times. But looking back, I think the 3-day weekend flip of my husband's office for his birthday while he was out of town was my favorite because I did it alongside my sister-in-law, which was so fun. The transition happened so fast, which was very rewarding. And because it just felt so great to be able to give my husband, his name is Will, by the way, his own space that has his style and his personality in it, where he can go to just decompress and relax. Okay, I'm going to do a really quick shout out to my husband because I love him and he has worked so hard over the past few years and he is just amazing. We have been together for over 15 years, married for 10. He is my best friend, my rock. He's a wonderful father to our 3 boys, and I am just so grateful for everything we have experienced together. Okay, enough with this app. Let's talk about the project. So we recently moved into a new house in May of 2023 after we moved to Alabama for Will's new job, and it's a new build, and it actually had 2 master suites. We moved into the one upstairs because that's where the kiddos are. And the one downstairs had a walk-in closet that was literally the size of a small bedroom. Luckily, the layout for the room goes bedroom with the bathroom next, and then you have to walk through the bathroom to get into the closet. So we just closed off that door between the bathroom and the closet, and we cut a huge hole in the wall for a door from the dining room in the main house that goes into the closet so Will could enter his now office without having to go through the bedroom, which is currently occupied. So yes, we literally reconfigured the layout of a brand new house, and yes, it was a little scary, but this is what works better for our lifestyle, and it also looks like it was always supposed to be there. So it's all good. So while Will was away for a week of military training, we flipped the room. We took down the closet shelves, patched all the holes, painted it this really cool vintage dark military green, put together the desk he had already ordered, stocked his mini fridge, and decorated the whole room. He had absolutely no idea we were doing this for him. And once he got home and everyone started acting a little weird, even though we were totally trying to play it cool, he was still completely blown away. He loves and enjoys his downtime in there when he can get it. And I actually have the reel with the reveal pinned to the top of my Instagram if you want to go check that out. My handle is at Jessica Gracefully. Now, 2 more quick projects to note that top the list of my favorites are my kids' bathroom I designed and DIY'd in our last house, as well as a built-in hutch I designed and built. So in the bathroom, I wanted to bring a playful nautical vibe to the room since we lived 1 block away from the mountain lake, but without it being like too obvious or juvenile. So I added a half wall of tile behind the toilet and next to the tub because, well, boys. And that has been my all-time favorite tile with this beautiful texture and imperfection in a really pretty gray. So I installed that all completely by myself. And then on the opposite wall, I built my first custom wainscoting or paneling feature wall, which I painted this beautiful mid-tone blue-gray that was so pretty, and then added 3 matte gold hooks from the top for my kids to hang their towels. So it was beauty and function, and that is something I find important in my houses, to be able to blend the two so that they complement each other. And the last thing I did in that room was hand-painted abstract waves around the entire rest of the top half of the room. And this came out better than I expected, but not as good as the wallpaper I had dreamed it would be in there, but it was a lot cheaper and it still came out really fun. Okay, and the last one is the built-in hutch. So when we designed the new layout of the house that we renovated, there was this sort of weird, awkward corner on one side of the foyer that was just way too empty. So I actually repurposed some kitchen cabinets from another part of the house that fit in that space perfectly. And then I used almost all other recycled materials from the renovation project to build the rest of it. And I not only envisioned this hutch, but I carried out almost the entire project by myself. From cutting the plywood that used to be our fill-in countertops with the circular saw, to cutting them straight with the table saw, sanding the wood down, and painting it after it was installed. Now, this particular project did have a little hiccup in the middle that I am intentionally going to skip over because I want to save that particular story for the episode where I talk about my mess-ups and failures. But why this project tops the list of my top 3 favorites is because it taught me I could fail and then figure it out a different way, which felt so important and was a big step in my DIY journey because it actually helped me trust myself more. Messing up is inevitable if you do anything enough times, but if you are prepared for that and you set your expectations accordingly, then your mindset will make it a positive experience. Now, that doesn't mean you might not get frustrated and want to throw a hammer across the room, but the learning process and the ability to get over issues and failures is, in most things in life, a really important step to become more confident and feel more comfortable in what you're doing. A quote that I found that I really liked was, "Better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all." And that pretty much sums up most DIY projects, especially when there's something new that you've never tried before. So I hope you find some of these stories encouraging and inspiring. And if you want a visual for some of my projects I spoke about, you can head over to my Instagram at Jessica Gracefully. And I'll also be linking some of these to the podcast Instagram, which is Girl Do Yourself Podcast. And if you have any questions or would like any recommendations, please feel free to comment or DM me. I am more than happy to offer any assistance I can.
And now it's time for the She's Savvy takeaway. Did you know that when you paint a room a darker color, it will make it feel more relaxing and calm because darker colors absorb more light, which actually means your eyes and your brain have less work to do, which lets them relax, and in turn, so can you. That was why I chose the dark green paint from my husband's office, so that way when he went in there to play video games or watch TV, his brain can shut off and he can actually have some time to enjoy to himself. I want to end this second episode with one last reminder to be kind to yourself, especially if you're in a phase of overwhelm, and to maybe encourage you to find a place in your house or apartment where you can incorporate a darker color, do something a little different, and see if you find it relaxing as well.
I hope you were inspired or learned a little something about home design and DIY. I'm also putting together an online course right now as we speak called the DIY Home Design Lab, which is going to be a roadmap to walk you through making some of the core decisions of design, getting started in DIY, mindset, color theory, budget and planning, project inspiration, and so much more. So keep an eye out for that, and I will be updating the release date on all of my platforms. Thank you so much for tuning into the Girl Do It Yourself podcast. Until next time, stay creative, girl, and remember, you can do it yourself.